be making the second earring in this earring set, and we'll be using 2-hole daggers, a 4mm crystal, 11-0 round beads, 8-0 round beads, Superduos, and Magatamas. I'm using purple and a peacock color Magatama, and a number 12 beading needle. I would very much recommend number 12. It's a little thinner, and we're going to go through these beads a couple of times. And black Fireline. Black, you want to use the black because the black doesn't show as much as the other colors. White will show, the thread will be apt to show more when we're dealing with the Superduos. And I'm going to start with a stop bit because I'm going to string on a bunch of beads. So I'm going to pick up 2, and I'm going to leave enough tail so that I can weave this back in. So you notice I left a tail, and I've got about 27 inches of thread here. So I'm picking up 2 8-0s, 3 Superduos, and 2 more 8-0s, and I'm going to bring them down to the end of where my stop bead is. And then I'm going to want to pick up my Magatamas. Now, when you pick up the first set, you want the holes to be up near the end of the bead. So if you flip them sideways, you can see there's a hole up here and then one a little further down. So you don't want this side. You want to pick them up on this side where the hole is up a little closer. This one was a little closer. Now this one I can tell is not going to work. We want to pick up this side. When you pick them up, they should all look lined up like this. If they're not lined up like this, you've got one that didn't get picked up correctly. So we pull those down, and then we want to pick up an 8-0, 1. I picked up 2. 1 8-0, and then we're going to pick up one of our dagger beads. Pick it up with the top hole, by the top hole, and then the 4mm crystal, and then another dagger bead in the top hole. So it should look like this. And bring them down. Now we need to add the third bead in the center. So we're going to go through the lower hole in this outside bead. You have the 2 holes, go back through the lower hole, pick up the top hole in the center bead that you're adding. So you're going to pick up the top hole in the center bead, and then go back through the lower hole in the next one. And we're going to pull that all down. I'm just holding it so I'll pick it up so you can see it when I've got it. All right. So that's what it looks like. Now we're going to reinforce this. So we'll go back up the top hole, back through the 4mm bead and through the top hole of the other. And we're going to pull this tight. And then we're going to come back down again through the lower hole in the outside beads and the top hole of the center. Oh, I had another one of these that I made. Hook's getting caught. Okay, we're going to pull that. And now we want to go back through the dagger again. So we end up coming out on the right side. And this is what it should look like. Now we have to pick up an 8-0 and 3 more of our Magatamas, only this time we're going to pick them up with the holes down lower, so the lower hole. So if I were to look at this and I have my lower hole and my upper hole, I want the lower hole to... Now I'm going to pick this up incorrectly so that you see that if you do pick it up incorrectly, it's actually not going to let me. But if you do pick it up in the wrong direction, See how they don't line up? So you can tell immediately that they don't line up. So you want to put that down, go back and get them in the right direction. See how they all look in the same direction. Okay. All right, now we have to close this loop. So I'm going to just do that with it laying on the mat. You can pick it up, but I like to do it on the mat. So I'm going to pull this bead off, and I'm going to go through the gold beads, the Superduos, the Magatamas, and I think when I get to this gold bead, yeah, I'm going to come through. I'll bring the thread through. I'm holding it. I'm sorry you can't see, but I'm holding it so that I can pull it straight down. And now I need to go through our dagger, crystal, and dagger. And the final beads are the gold bead and the 3 Magatamas. And I can pick it up at this point. I'll bring that back up. Now I want to make sure I tighten them. Now when I put the dagger beads on, I mentioned some dagger beads doesn't matter what side. Some are directional. You see this side looks different from this side. This is the back side and this is the front side. So some of the dagger beads that you get will have back and front. I want to tighten this, and now I'm going to make 2 knots. I don't want this to be so tight that it scrunches up, but I also don't want the thread showing. So let's make 2 knots. 1, I made 1. This is the second one. Right there. Now I'm going to run this thread down. I'm going to pick up another needle, and I'm just going to run this thread down through. I want to get rid of it. So I just want to run it down through the Magatamas. And the gold bead. And if it goes, it'll go through these. You can go through your daggers and your crystal one more time. If not, well, it just pulled out. So I'm just going to go through those. I'm just trying to get rid of the thread. Okay, good enough. All right, now this is what you should have. Now we're going to pick up and go through the gold beads and the first Superduo, just the first one. We're going to go back through the top hole of that Superduo that you just came out of. And now we're going to pick up 2 11-0 beads, and we'll go through the bottom hole and all the way across. So we'll go through the bottom hole as well as the next 2 Superduos. Until we come out this side. And we're going to pick up 2 more 11-0s. We'll go through the top hole of the Superduo that you just came out of, and we're going to pick up a Superduo and go through the top hole, and we'll pick up 1 more Superduo and go through the top hole. Do not go through the gold bead, just go through the top hole of the Superduo. You may have to pull the gold bead out of the way, or if you have to go through it and then come back, but just make sure to go through only the Superduo. There we go. Now we're going to pick up an 8-0 and 2 11 zeros, and we're going to go through the top hole of the next bead going up, and we're going to then pick up a super duo and go through the next super duo. Now this time it's reverse. We want to pick up 11 zeros and an 8, so we're going to pick up two 11 zeros and then an 8-0, and we're going to go through the hole behind this gold bead. So we want to go into the super duo, not into the gold bead, and we're going to go into the hole behind the gold bead. There we go. And then we'll want to come across. So move across the super duos. All right, now it's tempting to jump over and go right underneath, right into that hole, but we have to come out of the hole we just started at because we want everything to be symmetrical and not pulling. So we come out of this hole, and now I'm just going to flip this over. Out of this hole right here, and now I'm going to go up these 2, 3, the 8-0 and the 2 11 zeros. We're going to go up in that direction. Now I need to pick up an 8-0 and 2 11 zeros. So I pick up my 8-0 and my 2 11s. I go through the top hole. And now I reverse. I pick up 2 11s and an 8. And I go through the super duo hole. I'm doing this one at a time so you can see the hole, and then we're going to go through this bead and the one next to it and come out. And now we're going to go back up the 8-0 and the 2 11 zeros, and this time we'll be picking up an 8-0 and 2 11 zeros, another 8-0, 2 11 zeros, and another 8-0. So that should look like this: 2 8-0s on the end and 8-0 in the middle. And this time we are going to go through the gold bead. We're going to go through the 2 11-0 gold beads and the 8-0, like that. We're going to return back through this lower super duo and through the top of the second row super duo, and then we're going to come back through the bottom hole of the top super duo, and we'll go back through, weave our way all the way back through here. This is why you use a size 12 needle. And now we're going to go up the 8 and 11, and we're going to go up the 8 and the 2 11s again. Now we're going to skip this 8-0. We're not going to go through that. We're going to go through the 11s and the 8, and you'll see the little thread sits right up here. Well, we don't want that to show, but what we do want to do is make a nice little point. So we're going to take our needle and pull up the 8 on the 8-0, and then pull the thread tight, and see how that forms a nice little point. So now we're going to continue around. We'll go through the 11-0 and the 8-0 combinations again. And we're going to go all the way around. Now as I go around here, you'll see it's starting to, the beads are starting to line up. So going around one more time will make them line up quite nicely and straighten. See, these are nice and straight now. They're not leaning over. They're not flopping outward. And we'll go through the bottom here. Now, this is the only part that can be a little difficult. All right, I got through 2 beads. If you can't get through more than one, do one at a time. Now, this one, you may have to move this one bead out of the way because this tends to, there we go, sometimes get in the way. So we pull that through. And now we're going to bring this one up. You see, this one's leaning down this way. And as we bring this up, as we bring this needle in here and we bring this up, it's going to make that bead get nice and straight and in line with the other one. And we're going to start to tie it off now. I'm going to go through the very top bead one more time because I am going to want to reinforce. We only have one thread going through here, so I do want to reinforce that. But in the interim, I'm going to make a little loop here. And I'm going to pull this. I do it right on top of the size 8s and then go through the 11 zeros. The 8 is nice and flat, so you can guide the thread to make sure it stays on top of the 8. It doesn't go over a bead. We'll go up here. All right, so we're going to do 2 at a time. We still want to go through this 11 zero, and we want to go through the 8 0 one more time. So we go through this center bead one more time. And I'm going to go through the 11s and the 8. I'm going to do another loop. There, it has to come down on the bottom of that 8 0. Okay, we got it. And through these. I'm just going to come down through the next set. And then I'm going to cut. Okay. So I'm just going to cut the end thread here. And so this is our second one. So I do hope you enjoyed our video. Please like and subscribe.